everyone, welcome to this explainer. I am so thrilled you're here. Today, we're taking on a huge, maybe kind of intimidating, but honestly super exciting topic, moving out and taking total charge of your own life. We're diving right into the Independent Living Guidebook. People often talk about the transition to adulthood like it's this terrifying cliff you just have to jump off blindfolded. But honestly, that's completely wrong. It's actually a totally manageable, guided journey. And today, we're going to use some fantastic checklists to map out exactly what that journey looks like. So I gotta ask you a direct question. Would you survive if you moved out of home today? Right? It's a bit of a provocative question, and honestly, it might even make your stomach drop just a little. But listen, it is completely normal to feel a wild mix of intense excitement about your newfound freedom and deep, deep anxiety about the actual reality of it. Learning how to look after yourself and solve life's daily little problems, that's just the core of growing up. But are you truly ready to be independent? Well, let's figure that out together. Okay, take a deep breath. Here is our roadmap for today. We're covering 4 main stops: surviving the real world, the 5 pillars of independence, partnering with a carer, and finally, why learning is not a race. All right, let's jump right into part 1, surviving the real world. Time for a little reality check. So when you first stare at a giant list of adult responsibilities, everything from doing taxes to unclogging a toilet, it is entirely normal to feel completely overwhelmed. The sheer volume of things you're suddenly expected to know, it can seem impossible. But I want to give you a massive wave of relief right now. Independence is a gradual process. You absolutely do not need to know everything on day 1. In fact, our source material makes a point to remind us that even seasoned adults don't have it all figured out. I mean, seriously. You might think you need to know it all the second you pack your moving boxes, but learning to live independently is a marathon, not a sprint. Okay, moving into section 2, the 5 pillars of independence. Let's look at a manageable framework for all this. Instead of just staring at a chaotic mountain of random tasks, we're going to use a psychological trick called chunking. Basically, we're breaking this massive checklist down into 5 distinct, easy-to-digest pillars. We've got money, housing and daily living, education and employment, health and well-being, and finally, personal and community skills. Let's briefly walk through what each entails and why mastering these basics will completely transform your transition into adulthood. First up, Pillar 1, money. Knowing exactly where your money is coming from and how to manage it is, well, absolutely critical. This means the basics like knowing how to open a bank account, checking your statement, and understanding those pesky ATM fees. But it's also about grasping the very real consequences of unpaid bills. If you don't budget properly to pay your utility bills, the stakes are super high. I mean, we're talking immediate consequences, like your electricity getting cut off entirely. And without power, suddenly cooking, cleaning, and simply living become incredibly difficult. Now, the depth of financial literacy you need here goes way beyond just saving your pennies. It's about really understanding your paycheck, like the difference between your gross and net pay. It's knowing how to get a tax file number and the legal consequences of not filing a tax return. And crucially, it's understanding the totally different ways to borrow money. Like, what are the distinct advantages and disadvantages of borrowing from family versus getting a bank loan or using a pawn shop? Understanding the real cost of buying things on credit now can save you literally years of financial headaches down the road. Moving right along to Pillar 2, housing and daily living. Look, finding a place is one thing, but keeping it is a whole different ballgame. You've got to understand basic terms like lease, tenant, and managing agent to keep your tenancy secure. And daily living? That means basic home maintenance. You need to know how to safely unclog a sink, reset a tripped circuit breaker, or even just change a light bulb. Oh, and in the kitchen, checking food expiry dates and knowing when something has definitely gone bad is absolutely essential for avoiding illness and keeping yourself safe. And notice how these daily living skills kind of connect to one another in a flow. Step 1, you plan a weekly menu of nutritious meals within a budget. Step 2, you cook the meal using safe kitchen hygiene, like washing your hands before preparing food and knowing how to safely defrost things. And step 3, clean up. Seriously, knowing what cleaning products to actually use on the sink and stove is exactly what prevents terrifying infestations of cockroaches, ants, mice, or even maggots. Gross, right? But it's all interconnected. All right, Pillar 3 focuses on education and employment. Finding courses and jobs, that's really just the starting line. True success here means knowing to turn up on time, dressing appropriately, and actually calling your boss if you can't make it in. But it's also about emotional resilience. Can you handle workplace criticism? Do you understand the difference between workplace bullying and just being corrected when you've made a genuine mistake? And when it is time to move on, you have to know how to give proper notice so you don't lose money or burn a bridge for a good reference. Which brings us to Pillar 4, health and well-being. The rule here is incredibly simple. You only get one body, so you have to look after it. This means recognizing when you're getting sick and knowing when it's time to actually go visit a doctor. It's knowing how to select the right over-the-counter medications for pain, a cold, or allergies, and then following those directions safely. Oh, and it also covers safety at home, like knowing how to check your smoke alarm and how to put out different kinds of fires before they escalate into an emergency. And our final pillar, number 5, is personal and community development. This includes highly practical skills like navigating public transit safely and resolving conflicts respectfully. But importantly, it covers your legal rights and responsibilities. Turning 18 is a massive milestone. Suddenly, you gain the legal right to enter into enforceable contracts, buy property, and make a will. But it also comes with heavy adult responsibilities, like registering to vote, understanding the age of consent, and knowing the specific legal penalties for breaking the law as a legal adult. Okay, let's look at Section 3, partnering with a carer. Think of them as your co-pilot. So we've covered the what, those 5 pillars. Let's pivot to the how. Listen, true independence does not mean doing everything completely alone. Take a look at this matrix. This is the core mechanic of the checklist from our sources. It breaks down every single skill into 3 simple categories: can do already, needs practice, or support needed. By literally tracking what you know versus where you need a little help, it safely grounds all that abstract anxiety into a concrete, actionable tool. It completely transforms the panic of, I don't know how to be an adult, into a calm, okay, I know how to wash clothes, but I need support making my doctor's appointments. And this checklist is specifically designed to be a collaborative tool. It's a brilliant conversation starter to use with a trusted carer, parent, or caseworker. Why? Well, because you can never really be sure about what you don't know. When you talk to them, you might discover hidden costs of setting up an apartment that you literally knew nothing about. They can share their own real-world experiences and give you a safe, supportive space to practice these skills, like budgeting or cooking together, way before you were totally out there on your own. And finally, Section 4, learning is not a race. Let's get to our send-off. If you've been listening to all these skills we've gone through and you're feeling that pressure starting to build up again in your chest, let's just deflate that right now by busting a major myth. The myth is that you need to master every single life skill right this very minute. The reality? You have an entire lifetime to learn and build these skills gradually. Seriously, some skills might not even be needed for years. For example, if you are still in school, you might not need to worry about learning how to apply for full-time jobs until you actually finish your studies. You build the foundation first, and you just add the rest when the time is right. I actually want to read this quote directly from the source material because, honestly, it is incredibly validating. Quote, "It doesn't matter if you can't. You have a lifetime to learn, and you won't be a failure if you can never do it all." Unquote. Even the people who wrote this government guidebook are telling you, cut yourself some slack. Don't stress out about the checklist. Just let it help you get thinking about what would be useful to learn next. So I'm going to leave you with this final thought and challenge. Look back at the 5 pillars we discussed. Look at exactly where you are right now. Which one skill will you choose to practice today? Just one small step. Maybe it's doing your own laundry, maybe it's checking your bank balance, or maybe it's literally just asking a carer a question about how the electric bill works. Take that one gradual step forward today, and you'll be well on your way to mastering the real world. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and happy learning.